People think betrayal arrives loudly. Screaming, arguments, doors slamming shut. They're wrong. Betrayal is quiet. It eats dinner with you, sleeps beside you, learns your routines. And then one day, it's gone. My wife's name was Claire, and for 10 years I believed I knew her. We weren't dramatic people, no explosive fights, no social media perfection, just steady, which, in marriage, feels like safety. We met in our 20s, back when promises felt permanent and love felt like something you earned by staying. She laughed easily, listened carefully, and made me feel chosen. That mattered more than I admitted. By our mid-30s, life had settled into patterns. Morning coffee, evening dinners, weekends that blended together. Some people call that boring. I called it loyalty. Comfort isn't the absence of love. It's what love becomes when it survives. Looking back, the signs were there. They always are. Phones turned face down. Late work meetings. A new attention to appearance that didn't include me. But love has a blind spot. It believes explanations. I wanted to trust her. So I did. The night everything ended was ordinary, which is what still haunts me. No argument. No tension. She kissed me before bed. Said she was tired. I woke up alone. Her side of the bed cold. At first I thought she'd gone for a walk. Claire did that sometimes. Early mornings, clear her head. But her phone was gone. Her clothes, too. Then I noticed the closet. Half empty. Not rushed, carefully chosen. People don't leave suddenly. They leave in stages. She didn't leave a note, not even a text. Just absence. Hours passed. Then a day, then 2. No calls, no messages. Friends didn't know. Her family avoided questions. That's when the truth started surfacing. Quietly, cruelly, an email from a stranger. Short, anonymous. I thought you should know. Attached were photos. Hotel rooms, hands intertwined. Her smile. One I hadn't seen in months. I didn't scream. I didn't break anything. I just sat there and felt something collapse inside me. Infidelity doesn't just break trust. It rewrites your memory. Every moment replayed differently. Every laugh felt borrowed. Every promise, conditional. Claire never explained. Never apologized. She vanished like a chapter torn from a book. Lawyers handled the paperwork. Divorce finalized without conversation. 10 years reduced to signatures. People told me I was lucky. At least she's gone. They didn't understand. She didn't just leave. She erased herself and left me to explain her absence to a life we built together. Months passed, then years. I rebuilt slowly. Different apartment, different routines, a version of myself that trusted less and observed more. Healing isn't forgetting. It's learning how to live with better boundaries. I stopped wondering where she went. Some questions don't deserve answers. Until one night, years later. At 12:47 a.m., there was a knock at my door. Not loud, not urgent, careful. Like whoever stood outside already knew. They weren't welcome. The knock didn't surprise me. That's the strange part. Somewhere deep down, I think I always knew this story wasn't finished. I didn't open the door immediately. I checked the time again. 12:47 a.m. The kind of hour meant for emergencies or regrets. When I finally opened it, she was standing there. Claire, older, thinner, and nothing like the woman who left. Her eyes met mine and dropped instantly. That alone told me everything. Shame doesn't ask for forgiveness. It asks for shelter. She said my name, quietly, as if volume could change the past. I didn't step aside. I didn't invite her in. I just stood there and waited. She spoke first. I didn't know where else to go. Of course she didn't. Years earlier, she hadn't known where else to run. I noticed her hands were shaking, not from cold, from fear. That's when I realized something important. This wasn't courage. This was desperation. People return when life stops rewarding their choices. She tried to explain. Not the cheating, not the betrayal, the disappearing. She said she was confused back then, that she felt invisible, that she needed to find herself. I almost laughed. Not because it was funny, because it was predictable. She told me about the man she left with, how exciting he was, how free she felt, how she thought love was supposed to feel like escape. Then her voice cracked. She told me how it ended. The man left. The money disappeared. Friends faded. Opportunities closed. One wrong decision at a time. Freedom without responsibility eventually becomes abandonment. She looked up at me finally. Really looked, like she was measuring what I had become. "Can I come in?" she asked. Not home, not back, just in. I shook my head, slowly, not angrily, decisively. Because here's the thing she didn't understand yet. I had already let her go. Standing in that doorway, I felt no rage, no jealousy, no desire for answers, just distance. Distance is what remains when love has finished teaching you. She started crying, apologizing, saying she made a mistake. Regret always sounds sincere when options run out. I told her we could talk. Tomorrow, in public, with daylight, because midnight conversations are for people who still believe in second chances. She nodded, accepted it. Relief washed over her face. She thought this was the beginning. I closed the door gently, locked it, leaned against it, and for the first time in years, I slept peacefully, because tomorrow she wouldn't be begging for forgiveness. She'd be facing something worse. Morning has a way of stripping lies naked. Midnight is generous. Daylight is not. I arrived at the cafe 10 minutes early, same one we used to visit on Sundays. Not out of nostalgia, out of symmetry. When Claire walked in, she hesitated, like she was stepping into a place that remembered her better than she remembered herself. She sat down carefully, as if sudden movements might break whatever chance she thought she still had. "You look different," she said. That's what people say when they realize time didn't treat you the same way it treated them. Growth is quiet. Regret is loud. She talked first. People who return always do. She told me she thought about me all the time. That leaving wasn't supposed to be permanent. That life just happened. I let her talk, because explanations don't age well when you let them breathe. She asked what I'd been doing, who I'd been with, whether I was happy. I answered honestly. I learned how to be alone without feeling lonely. She didn't know what to do with that. Some people leave to find themselves. Others stay and actually do. I didn't ask about the affair, not because I forgave it, because it no longer mattered. What mattered was why she came back now. She eventually told me. The truth always leaks. She had nowhere else. No savings, no support. Her choices had expired. She wasn't looking for love. She was looking for safety. I watched her realize slowly that safety was no longer something I offered automatically. That's when fear replaced hope in her eyes. "You don't hate me?" she said. It wasn't a question. "No," I replied. "I outgrew you." The sentence landed harder than anger ever could. Hate keeps people connected. Indifference sets them free. She cried. Of course she did. She asked if we could try again. Start fresh. I shook my head, because here's the truth I hadn't said out loud until then. I didn't want revenge. I wanted distance. I paid for the coffee, stood up, and said the only thing that mattered. "You didn't come back too late," I said. You came back to someone who doesn't need you. She watched me walk away, and for the first time, she understood what disappearing actually feels like. People who lose power don't leave quietly. They negotiate. After the cafe, Claire didn't disappear again. That was my mistake. She started reaching out. Texts first, careful ones. How are you? I just want to talk. I'm not asking for anything. When someone says they want nothing, they're usually afraid to ask for everything. I didn't reply. Silence had already taught me its value. Then the messages changed. Longer, heavier. Apologies wrapped in memories. She reminded me of trips we took. Inside jokes. Moments that once meant something. Nostalgia is a tool, used most often by people who have nothing new to offer. A week later, she showed up again, not at midnight this time, in daylight, in public. She waited outside my building. That's when I realized this wasn't about reconciliation anymore. It was about control. Desperation doesn't want love. It wants access. She told me she was in trouble, financial trouble, legal trouble. She didn't go into details. She didn't need to. She asked if she could stay for a while, just until she figured things out. I looked at her, really looked, and saw the pattern clearly. She hadn't come back because she missed me. She came back because I was familiar, predictable, safe. The same reasons she left me. I told her no, not harshly, not emotionally, just no. That word ended the conversation. Her face changed. Hope collapsed into anger. Not explosive anger, strategic anger. When vulnerability fails, manipulation tries next. She accused me of being cold, of changing, of abandoning her now. I didn't argue, because arguing suggests doubt. I told her one final thing. You don't miss me. You miss who I used to be. She left without another word. 2 days later, I heard from a lawyer, her lawyer. She was claiming she left under emotional distress, that she had been pressured, that our marriage wasn't as clean as it looked on paper. I almost smiled. Some people mistake kindness for weakness. Others mistake silence for ignorance. She thought she still knew me. She didn't. During the years she was gone, I had learned something important. Documentation matters. Every message, every absence, every choice she made. I hadn't erased the past. I had archived it. Her claim didn't last long. Facts don't bend to feelings. And once her last move failed, she stopped reaching out. Completely. Months passed. No knocks, no messages, no lawyers. That's how you know it's over. Because when people truly lose leverage, they vanish. But endings don't always feel like relief. Sometimes they feel like clarity. Time doesn't punish immediately. It waits. After Claire stopped reaching out, life didn't change overnight. That's important. Consequences rarely announce themselves. I went back to routines, work, evenings, quiet weekends, the kind of life people overlook until they realize how rare it is. Sometimes, in the middle of ordinary moments, I wondered what became of her. Not with concern, with distance. Closure isn't knowing what happened. It's knowing you're done asking. A year passed, then another. One afternoon I ran into someone who knew her, an old mutual friend. We exchanged polite updates. Then they hesitated. "Did you hear about Claire?" they asked. I shook my head. Truthfully, she had been moving from place to place. Jobs that didn't last. People who didn't stay. Eventually, even sympathy runs out. Support has limits. Responsibility doesn't. Her health declined. Stress does that when it has nowhere to go. She tried reconnecting with family. They helped at first, then stepped back. Boundaries tend to appear after repeated disappointment. I didn't feel satisfaction hearing this, just confirmation, because the hardest part of betrayal isn't being hurt. It's realizing the person who left you was always walking toward this version of themselves. Another year passed. Then one night I received a message, not from her, from a number I didn't recognize. Claire passed away last month. I thought you should know. I read it twice, then once more. No shock, no grief, just a quiet stillness. Some endings don't break you, they release you. I didn't attend anything. There was nothing left to say. That night, I sat alone and realized something unexpected. I had already mourned her, years ago, at midnight, at my door. She didn't come back to be forgiven. She came back to be saved. And I wasn't that man anymore. People think closure comes from answers. It doesn't. It comes from acceptance. After I heard about Claire's death, nothing changed on the outside. No breakdown, no long nights staring at the ceiling, just the same quiet mornings. That's how I knew the story had already ended, long before her life did. I thought about the last time I saw her, standing at my door, at midnight, begging, not for love, for relief. Some people don't want forgiveness. They want escape. I used to wonder if I was cruel for turning her away. Time answered that for me. Because here's the truth no one likes to admit. You are not obligated to save someone who chose to abandon you. Love isn't a lifetime guarantee. It's a daily decision. And she stopped choosing me long before she left. I didn't win. She didn't lose. Life simply continued without bending to regret. That's the part people misunderstand. This wasn't revenge. There was no plan. No punishment. It was just consequences moving at their own pace. Time doesn't take sides. It only reveals trajectories. Sometimes, late at night, I still think about who we could have been. Not with sadness, with neutrality. Because memories lose power when they're no longer attached to hope. I've loved since then. Carefully, honestly, with boundaries. And that's the gift betrayal gives you, if you survive it properly. You stop chasing people who only love you when life is easy. You stop confusing familiarity with loyalty. And you learn something simple but permanent. Not every knock deserves an open door. My cheating wife vanished. Years later, she begged at midnight. And I realized the man she needed no longer existed.